Compounding is the closest thing to magic in finance. It's the quiet force that turns ordinary savers into millionaires, long-term investors into legends, and patient people into the most powerful participants in any economy. Yet for most of us, it feels like it doesn't work. For years, you save, you invest, you wait, and nothing seems to happen. The numbers crawl instead of climb. You wonder if you're doing something wrong. Then, almost out of nowhere, the curve bends upward. The growth looks exponential. What used to take years now happens in months. The compounding engine finally catches. The question is, why does it take so long? And why does it feel like you're stuck until it finally doesn't? That's where the May 2nd 10 rule comes in, a framework that explains why compounding feels slow, when it starts to accelerate, and how to know when you're entering the zone where wealth actually builds itself. Let's unpack this in full. The illusion of inaction. Compounding doesn't make you rich fast. It makes you rich eventually. But the human brain is wired for short-term gratification. We see slow progress as failure, even when the math says otherwise. Imagine you invest $10,000 and earn 10% a year. After 1 year, you have $11,000. Nice, but not life-changing. After 5 years, about $16,000. After 10 years, $26,000? Still modest. But stay the course for 25 years and you're sitting on more than $108,000. That's compounding at work. The first half of the journey feels painfully flat. The second half feels like warp speed. But it only feels that way because we misunderstand the shape of exponential growth. We expect linear results. We think $10,000 plus 10% plus 10% plus 10%. But compounding isn't linear. It's multiplicative. It feeds on itself. You earn returns not just on your principal, but on your returns. That's why the early years are so frustrating. There's not much to multiply yet. The May 2nd 10 rule explained. The May 2nd 10 rule isn't a formula. It's a mindset model for understanding the tempo of compounding in 3 phases. The first 10 years, the invisible phase. The next 5 years, the acceleration phase. The final 2 years, the explosion phase. Each phase feels radically different, even though the underlying math hasn't changed. The first 10 years, the invisible phase. You invest. You save. You wait. Nothing much happens. This is the hardest part of compounding. The returns are too small to notice, and the effort-to-reward ratio feels brutal. If you're saving and investing, you're probably contributing more from your income than your portfolio is earning. Your deposits matter more than your returns. That's normal. Here's the kicker. The invisible phase is where 90% of people quit. They give up right before the curve starts to bend. Think of it like planting a tree. For years, it looks like nothing's happening. But below the surface, roots are growing. The foundation is forming. You just can't see it yet. The only way to win this phase is to stay consistent. Automate your investments. Ignore the noise. Accept the boredom. Boring is good, because what comes next changes everything. The next 5 years, the acceleration phase. Around year 10, something subtle happens. Your returns start to outpace your contributions. Your investments are now producing more growth on their own than you can add from your paycheck. That's the turning point. This is where you start to feel the momentum. The numbers move faster. The gains compound visibly. The effort you put in years ago finally pays off. The acceleration phase is addictive. For the first time, compounding feels real. If you've been consistent for a decade, this is where the system begins to reward you for your patience. It's like your wealth has finally achieved escape velocity, breaking free from the drag of slow growth. The key in this phase, don't interrupt the process. No big withdrawals. No panic selling. Your biggest risk isn't the market, it's yourself. The final 2 years, the explosion phase. This is where compounding goes from impressive to unreal. The numbers no longer make intuitive sense. Your annual gains dwarf your early contributions. The line on your chart looks like it's going vertical. This is the phase where generational wealth is built, where small beginnings snowball into something extraordinary. You see this with businesses too. The first decade is usually survival mode. The next 5 years bring momentum. Then in a short window, the growth curve explodes. The same logic applies to fitness, relationships, careers, anything that compounds. But here's the irony. You can't reach the explosion phase without enduring the invisible one. The psychology of compounding. Compounding isn't just a financial principle. It's an emotional test. It demands faith in a system that doesn't show visible proof for a very long time. Our brains crave feedback loops. We like to see progress immediately. When we don't, we get discouraged. That's why most people abandon long-term strategies for quick wins that feel good now, but compound in the wrong direction. Think about habits: eating well, exercising, reading, learning a skill. In the beginning, the results are invisible. Then, one day, everyone else starts noticing your sudden success. That success wasn't sudden. It was compounding. The real skill isn't in finding high returns. It's in tolerating boredom long enough for those returns to matter. Why we underestimate exponential growth. Humans are bad at intuition when it comes to exponentials. We think in straight lines, not curves. Here's a thought experiment. If you fold a piece of paper 42 times, how thick would it be? Intuitively, you might guess a few inches. In reality, it would reach the moon. That's how compounding works. Early folds seem trivial. Then it goes cosmic. In wealth building, this creates a perception trap. During the early years, the slope of the curve is so shallow that it feels flat. But as time passes, the slope steepens dramatically. If you quit early, you never see the inflection point. You only ever experience the pain, not the payoff. The hidden cost of interrupting compounding. Compounding only works if it stays uninterrupted. Every time you withdraw, panic sell, or stop investing, you reset part of the curve. Imagine two investors. Investor A invests $10,000, earns 10% for 30 years, never touches it. Ends up with $174,000. Investor B does the same but takes a 2-year break after 10 years. Final amount, $141,000. Just 2 missed years shaved off nearly $33,000. That's the brutal efficiency of compounding. It rewards time and punishes hesitation. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. The May 2nd 10 rule beyond money. Once you understand the rhythm of compounding, you start seeing it everywhere. In fitness, the first 10 years are about form and consistency. The next 5 about visible results. The final 2 about mastery and peak performance. In careers, the first 10 years are learning and building reputation. The next 5 are leverage. Your work starts attracting opportunities. The last 2 are when everything compounds into influence and legacy. In relationships, the first 10 years build trust. The next 5 deepen it. The last 2 create an unbreakable bond. Everything that matters in life follows this curve. The invisible phase tests your patience. The acceleration phase rewards it. The explosion phase transforms it. How to survive the invisible phase. If you want to master compounding, you have to master the art of waiting. Here's how. Automate discipline. Remove decisions. Set your investments, contributions, or habits to run automatically. Track progress differently. Don't measure by outcome in early years. Measure by consistency. Play the long game. Treat 10 years as the minimum unit of effort. Anything shorter is noise. Avoid comparison. Someone else's year 15 might look like your year 3. Stay in your lane. Celebrate the invisible. The fact that you're showing up is the win. The invisible phase is where the compounders are separated from the quitters. Compounding is a mirror. Compounding doesn't care about your feelings, timing, or impatience. It only cares about time and consistency. It gives exactly what you put in, multiplied by patience. If you think compounding doesn't work, you're probably still in the invisible phase. That's okay. Everyone starts there. But once you understand the May 2nd 10 rhythm, you realize the waiting is the work. The bottom line: compounding feels like it doesn't work because it hides its power until you've earned it. The early years are slow, discouraging, and invisible. But they're not wasted. They're laying the foundation for exponential results. The May 2nd 10 rule reminds us the first 10 years are for building roots. The next 5 are for gaining momentum. The last 2 are for watching everything explode. If you can make it through the invisible phase, you unlock the most powerful force in finance and in life. So don't quit in the slow years, because compounding is always working, especially when it looks like it isn't. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to Rich Root Wealth, and turn on notifications, so you never miss another deep dive into building wealth the smart way. Remember, compounding might look slow today, but it's working hard behind the scenes for your future self. Trust the process, stay consistent, and let time do the heavy lifting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Here on Rich Root Wealth, where we're building wealth one smart decision at a time.